I saved $350,000 by age 25. Here's how.
Don't spend it. Invest.
It started when I discovered crypto at 17.
That's as good as money, sir.
In 2017, when I was 16 or 17, I bought my first cryptocurrency called Neo. Back then it was called Ant Shares. I put $200 into it and it skyrocketed, returning over 4,000%. I thought I was a goddamn genius.
We're gonna be rich!
This was the point. I became a serial cryptocurrency addict and I had to feed my addiction.
I don't enjoy this, Mr. Smith. I do it because I'm addicted to it.
Had zero idea what I was doing, but I was all in. I was ready to double down, going and opening a Kraken account. Back then, you had to wire transfer money, and as a 17-year-old, I walked into my bank, went to the front teller, and spent about 30 minutes convincing them to wire transfer half my bank account to Japan. When I finally got my deposit, it was approaching 2018, and that was the start of the bear market. Around this time, I went full degen. I started to dabble with crypto gambling, and I also started playing with leverage. I started with a crypto gambling site called Ray Games. Some of you might know it by Crash. They used the cryptocurrency called Nano, but at the time it was called MXRB. I had made over $7,000, but I lost it all plus $2,000 because the game changed as the pool of money inside decreased and my algorithm no longer was profitable. At age 17, this was the biggest loss I've taken. I shake off the 2K loss, and with my account, which still has quite a bit of money in it, I started trading other altcoins and pump and dumps, and because it was the bear market, I lost more money as a result. So I did what any sensible person would do after losing thousands of dollars in a speculative asset. I quit crypto forever and put everything into a safe S&P 500 index fund. Just kidding. I went full degen on an exchange called BitMEX, where you can trade Bitcoin with 100x leverage in an attempt to make it all back and become a crypto millionaire. I didn't know much about trading, but I was trying to absorb everything I could at the time, reading articles, watching YouTube videos, streamers on Twitch. I was convinced this was the way I was going to make my living at 18. I think to myself, if I can catch the next Bitcoin bull cycle with leverage, I can run it up and be rich. So I try to look at the technicals and I try to set up a position where it might be reversing. I set it up and set a stop limit and go to sleep. I wake up the next morning and found my account was liquidated. In a mental panic, freaking out. I thought it was a mistake. I emailed BitMEX and then I realized that a stop limit only triggers at the limit price, and I didn't place a stop order, which would just trigger a market order. The price had dumped so fast that my limit didn't get filled. With my crypto account liquidated, I decided to take a break from cryptocurrencies. In 2018, I also started investing in my TFSA, which is a tax-free savings account in Canada. I ended up buying my first company called Micron Technology. I thought they would be the next big thing because they announced their 3D NAND products coming out soon. I didn't really know what I was doing and I ended up selling early for a 20% profit. If I would have held, it would have probably netted me over 200% by now. In 2019 and 2020, I didn't invest much and my attention wasn't really towards crypto, it was towards school at the time. Stocks like Radiant Technologies and Pump, they both went to zero. This was the year I also graduated my program, earning myself my first job in 2021 for 80,000 Canadian dollars a year. Finally making some money, I decided to get back into the crypto bull market cycle halfway through the drop in 2021. I ended up making money on the way back up, but the market rally was cut short due to interest rate hikes by the Fed. The cryptocurrency mining company called Cathedra Bitcoin ended up crashing, and I held it the entire time. I eventually sold it for like a 70% loss. 2022 rolls around and I end up landing a better job that pays 155,000 Canadian dollars a year. And I started to take charge of my finances more, buying more index funds and good companies with good fundamentals. Around this time, I also started accumulating Bitcoin between $17,000 and $23,000. I also bought MicroStrategy, MSTR, which made me around 400% and over $50,000, which is the most money I've ever made in my life. Around this time, I also realized the opportunity with ChatGPT and the AI craze starting up, and I realized there was an opportunity with companies like Microsoft and Tesla, and started large positions positions in them. I ended up closing out my Microsoft position for 50% profit when I should have just held the position forever. Around this time, I've started to use what I've learned in the past in understanding market cycles and applying risk management, and I'm always protecting my principal now. 2024, I ended up buying Tesla Leaps for June 2026 at the 330 strike, buying 8 contracts around $22 on average. These flew to $70 within a few months. I sell a small position to cover my principal, and these contracts fell back to the $30 range where I proceeded to buy more, where it rised up to $60, and I repeated this process, and now we're breaking out at the earnings release just recently this October. Alongside my portfolio, which has done well in this bull market, and everything else combined, in the last 2 years, specifically the last year, I have seen 80% of the gain in my portfolio. Then again, I've been saving 80 to 90% of my income from work. Along the way, I learned a lot about timing, risk, and patience. And to protect your principal, don't get greedy, and most importantly, focus on the long game. There's a lot more details in this journey, but this gives you a good idea of where I come from. If you enjoyed this video, this is the first video for Wealthy Beaver, please like and subscribe.